let's look at a pipeline for such a problem, the problem of training a classification model with text. Now, what we want to do is we want to train the model to classify a collection of documents. Think of a classical scenario. You have like a company that deals with, say, car components, with car parts, and every single car part has a description that comes in natural language, comes in clear text. What we want to do is we want to train a model that would classify every single car component as compliant or non-compliant with respect to a certain rule based on that description. So where we start off is basically a set of documents and their associated labels. Like, as you can see in the slide, we have those labels which are zeros and ones, which mean this document is compliant, this car part is compliant, this car part is not compliant, and so forth. So the next step that we need to do is we need to normalize those documents. Like, for example, identify parts of speech, remove some kind of components, do the lemmatization of the text where you transform every single word into some kind of canonical format of the word. I mentioned removing some parts that, for example, you would like to remove the stop words that are specific to the particular language the text is written in, and so on. There are several tasks of text normalization that you can apply. Now, once you have applied text normalization, the next part is where you can apply feature extraction. And feature extraction is a two-step process. First and foremost, you would need to define a vocabulary of your text, which is actually identifying individual words based on their frequency and record them as a vocabulary. And once you have that vocabulary, you can vectorize your documents using various approaches, like, for instance, word embedding, as I mentioned, or scoring. And one of the typical scoring approaches is TF-IDF, which stands for text frequency inverse document frequency. And as I said, you can apply that to calculate the relative importance scores of your words in your text. Once everything is transformed into vectors and every single word or every single sentence in your text has its own representation in that numerical vector format, you can basically use this numerical data set to actually train your supervised deep learning or classical machine learning algorithm. And then what you will get at the end of this process is a classification model, a machine learning model, either classical or deep learning, that is capable of classifying those documents.